here. But in the meantime, all right, I'm just making sure my connection is good. If you guys can see me and hear me, comment yes and yes below. Okay, comment yes and yes, and also tune in. Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. Where are you guys from? Right? Where are you? Where are you? What's the city? What's the country? I love putting a location to the names and the faces, and it helps me just connect to you guys energetically and also serve. All right. All right. Let's see here. Anna, how are you? Look familiar? Violet. All right. See here. Cool. So you guys can hear me and see me? Awesome. Where are you guys tuning in from? Florida? You got Florida in the house. All right. Actually in Arizona right now as we speak. Kids are jumping in the pool right now having so much fun. So if you hear extra laughter and fun, that's what's going on. New York in the house. Awesome. Denmark. France. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Chile. Pittsburgh. Turkey. India. Wow. Ukraine. I mean, one of the things that I love about our community is we're in over like 50 plus different countries. And it's a lot of healers from all over the world making a difference. So that's excites me, near and dear to my heart. It's amazing. Mexico. All right. So let's get started, shall we? Today, I don't do much of these lives here, and I want to do more of them because I want to make sure you guys are always getting value, especially during these days and times. It's more important now for light workers to really just step up, shine their light, spread their message, and be a beacon and an example and an embodiment of that which we seek externally, right? And that's my mission. That's one of my many driving forces. All right. So questions here. Let's see. Oliver, how do I get to a higher frequency? So here's the thing. With this question, okay, I wanna address this carefully, because a lot of times people, when they think of higher frequency, they think that they have to be there all the time, that they have to be in a higher frequency all day, every single day. And if they're not on a high frequency, if they're not experiencing that, if they are not living that, if they dip, it goes out the window. But that's not the case. Okay, we are spiritual beings. We're energy beings in this physical body. There will be dips, because we're not the only people on Earth. There's 6 billion plus people on the planet, and we're all in this we're all in this energetic field, and energies do collide and they interact with each other. So what ends up happening is when that happens, there are interferences. You do get affected by other people. It will affect you, and when it affects you, it will affect your thoughts, your emotions, your energy, so on and so forth. So the key isn't to always be on a high frequency, but the key is to learn how to rise up, how to raise your vibration, how you raise your frequency to it. If you're in a low, you can go into a high, right? And it's one of the things to where a lot of people are used to just being in a vibration that's always low, always low, always low, and they stay there for a long amount of time. Days turn to weeks, weeks turn into months turns into years. Next thing you know, you look in their lives and they're like, this is just the way my life is. It's become such a stagnant point. They got used to it, right? To where they no longer think they can move past it, right? But the goal is to shorten it, and not be too hard on yourself. Right, so if you're experiencing something that throws you off your high vibe, maybe you're feeling calm and you're feeling yourself, you go out there, boom, all of a sudden, you feel uneasy, you're overwhelmed or anxious. The goal is to limit the amount of time, shorten the amount of time you're staying in that state. So if you're staying there for a day, how do you get it down to an hour? From staying there for an hour, how do you get it down to minutes, right? And get used to that. And eventually, you'll realize that 50% of your day, you're in a high vibration, 60 then, 70, 80, and most of the day you are. And when you're dipping, you're not beating yourself up, because it doesn't matter if you dip. You know how to pick yourself back up. It's not a matter if you dip. We will dip in frequency. We will dip in vibration, especially if you are in tune to energy. You're in tune to sometimes people in front of you, sometimes people in your street, sometimes people in the entire state, sometimes people in the entire country, sometimes people in the entire world you're tuned into, right? So it's not a matter of if you dip, it's when you do, how to get back up, and that's simple. Like, and there's different ways of doing this. All right. And the easiest thing that I can give you guys right now is, and its simplest thing is figuring out what worked for you as a kid, right? What worked for you. Because the thing is, we weren't born without tools, right? We were born with tools on how to thrive in life, how to do our purpose work. And we were born with a lot of tools. We really are. So the thing is, what are they? Because once we discovered what they are, we can use them in life to clear our energy and get in a higher vibration. Because when you're in a lower vibration, nothing is available to you. Problems that are small become big, right? People that are in that vibration, let's say your vibration is frustration, people that are in that vibration, all of a sudden, once you're there, everything in that energy becomes available to you. Okay, people, events, like, problems, they all swarm in that vibration because that's where they exist. On a high vibration, things that are big become small. You don't even exist at all, because in that higher vibration, like, it's one of the things that, like, it's the ideal frequency to be. So the biggest thing, the biggest shift in thinking is not what's showing up, but asking yourself, what vibration am I on? Because if you're in a lower one, let me tell you, it's so much harder. It's so much harder. You can't get out of it. It's like a rat race. But if you're in a higher vibration, everything happens in lightning speed. Everything comes to you. And this happens, the simplest thing I can tell you is figuring out what worked for you as a kid. Some people, like, they like solitude works for them. Solitude, them being by themselves, whether they're reading a book, they're journaling, they're just by themselves, because, like, and it's not all the time, but it's a good portion of the time they are, because by being with their own energy, they're not influenced as much. So they're able to clear, they're able to really have like mental clarity, energetic clarity in that space, and that works for them. For some people, right, it is, you got to move. It's physical activity. They work out. They got to run. They're very, very active. And because by moving the physical body, for some, not for all, it can work for all, but for some, this is their primary way of clearing, by moving the physical body, right? Like, you're able to really move energy, and energy flows through. Because a lot of times, energy gets stuck, right? You're in tune, you're sensitive to energy, it gets stuck, and it's there in your body. So to be able to move it is super important. So movement, very, very powerful, very, very important. Okay, movement is one. Sometimes it is the elements. It's being under the sun, right? Or it's the beach, it's the water, because the salt is clearing. Or it is your feet touching the ground, soil, barefoot or with shoes, and it grounds you. Or it's the wind, or it's the fire. Elements, a lot of times, is one of the things that works to just help naturally clear you. I mean, yes, there's things like external, like, yeah, there's crystals, there's sage, and all those different things that you can do to help clear you. But as kids, sometimes we're not taught that. So we have a natural way of clearing that doesn't revolve around any of that, but things that are a little bit more natural to us. And I'm curious to you, what's your way of clearing? Because once you figure this out, like, and it's very powerful, all you got to do is do more of it. And if the day is intense, if more things are happening to you, it's not the time to bury yourself in work or ignore it. It's the time to go all in and do what clears your energy the most. All right, so go ahead, let me know. I'm curious, what do you guys do for clearing? What do you guys naturally do to just, like, release energy, right? Share them below. And also, as I'm doing this live and answering your questions, if you guys have any, breakthroughs, any aha moments, okay, please post them below so that people that are watching this can look at your ahas, look at your breakthroughs. And I like reading through them as well. It motivates me to even do more free stuff like this and answer more questions and to help more. So let me know your breakthroughs, hashtag breakthrough, hashtag aha moments. Let me know. I love reading them, okay? And as I go through this, one of the things is, if you feel that this is valuable, share it with a friend. Tag a friend below, or share it with a friend who needs to see this. Because a lot of the times, information like this, I wish it was something that was given to us when we were young. But I wish I had an instruction manual for it, but I didn't. Nobody knew about this, and a lot of the books that I read, were conflicting. So I had tune in, look within, connect to, higher source, and that's how I'm been getting my information, is direct learning. And it would have been awesome if people would have just have told me this and I knew it earlier on, right? So I'm sharing this, because it's one of the things it's much needed. And had I known this, when I was a kid growing up, my gosh, my life would have changed. I would have skipped and literally not even experience the things that were coming. I would have skipped a lot of problems, a lot of issues, and I would have just jumped right into the good stuff, right? So that's my hope. That's my hope for y'all. Okay, so another one here is, how is one supposed to let go of anger? So anger happens. Okay, I get angry, and anger comes from the mind, right? It really does. Someone says something, you think it's rude, you think it's mean, you get angry. If someone does something that you think they're not supposed to do, it conflicts with your belief systems, your rule, you get angry. If you think someone's wronged you, if you think you're being taken advantage of, if you are hurt, you might resort to anger. So anger starts off, something happens, we tune into it, and it can start off two ways. It can start off with the mind, and the mind processes it and realize that it is conflicting with a belief, a rule, values, and it processes in the heart, and you're like, woof, and it blocks. It really creates a blockage of energy that's disharmonious to our being in the heart. So that's one way anger can happen. Another way anger can happen is if you're empathic. Okay, empath, so you know things, you can feel things. Sometimes you know what someone's feeling, you feel what someone's feeling as if it's your own, it registers in your body as if it's your own. Or sometimes physical stuff too. So if they're having physical pain in their shoulder, physical pain in their back, any kind of physical stuff, you take that on as well temporarily, because you're a healer and you don't know that. And part of empaths, healers that are empaths, they feel what other people are feeling, and they take it on as if their own, because they're meant to do something about it. Okay, that's what I've learned. They're meant to help. So yeah, anger can happen in these different ways. And the best way to process anger, the fastest way, and I've talked about this a lot, is and again, I can go on in this. I do workshops, in our retreat center that we own in Colorado. I do workshops where it's 5 days, 4 to 5 days diving deep into this. So I can geek on this topic for a long time. But something that you can do right now that will help is, and I teach this all the time, is sending people off love bubbles. Okay, it's very, very powerful. Really, and the way you do it is, so let's say Joe, Joe is hurt you and you feel angry towards Joe, right? You can't fight fire with fire, because when they pissed you off and they're low vibration and you're angry, guess what? You're gonna be in that frequency, in the vibration that it keeps continuing. Okay, and the fastest way out of anger is energetic, right? So what do you do? And a lot of times, and people that when I teach this to people, they're like, man, they don't deserve this, but it's not justified. I can't just let it go. Well, the thing is, if you don't let it go, you drown with the anger. It affects your life. It doesn't end there. It keeps on going. That means you're in that vibration, and you're rolling every minute, every hour that you're in there, every second. Okay, you're in that vibration. You attract more people in that vibration, more events in that vibration. The things that you want, okay, will be harder to reach, to attain in that vibration. The things that you do they're on the other side of it, right? So I'm not saying don't feel angry. I'm saying process it faster, because we can, and then we go from anger to love and love to anger quickly. And I see all the time. You watch videos of people that are getting pranked, right? And something happens and they're angry. The emotion of anger is there, and then they realize it's a prank. It was a joke, and all of a sudden they lighten up and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's a joke," right? And same thing. Somebody might feel so in love with somebody, so deeply in love, and then something happens. They realize that person betrayed their trust, and they go from love to anger quickly, right? And so we can go between both anger and love, anger and love, anger and love, anger and love, really, really quickly. And the key is realizing that it's energy. It is energy. It is fleeting. And at any given time, we are the creators of our own reality. We choose what reality you want to create. And it's hard to create a reality that we want from a place of anger. It really is. It really is. So my suggestion that's worked, like for me, is we'll rise above it and we'll send them off with love. So what you do is you might have to play with colors to see which colors are love for you. I mean, to say spending time closing your eyes, imagining white light, purple light, and gold light. And you can just sit down, like literally, you can do it right now. Like, and you can set an intention of, and you can, it doesn't matter if it's God, higher power, universe, whatever you believe in. It's this, what I teach is something that works across religions. Doesn't matter what your background is, your belief, like, it really, it's very, love is something that's present in every single belief that I've seen and I've experienced. And we have people from this community that from all different walks of life, and energy is one thing that's, again, it's the common thread across everybody in the world. So the thing is, you set an intention, you ask your higher power, like, for you to be able to experience like the color of love, like, and you close your eyes, and you can try this now. Close your eyes now, and you can start off with white light. Imagine white light coming down, hitting the top of your head and filling you up, fill your entire body up. Try that. Try purple coming down, and then try gold. Try different colors. See which color resonates with you the most. Okay? And when you find your color, share it with me as well. I'm always curious to see what works for people. Right? So try different colors. Try to see. And one of the colors will work. Sometimes people have two colors that they blend in, and it works really, really powerfully. Right? So the way you do it is you do that, and you fill yourself up with love first. You fill yourself up. Fill yourself up with that color. And once you find it, some for you it's purple, some might say it's orange, purple. When you find it, make it brighter, make it stronger. Make it to like it's a level 10 out of 10. And see if you can even exceed it. To where literally everything that is dark is replaced with light. And if you're carrying anger in your heart, maybe you can even just pour an extra potency in there to just like go into crevices, go into spaces where it exists, and love on it. And like water is the fire, it just, anger goes away. Anger goes away energetically. And when you're filled with that, it no longer is affecting you anymore. It changes your vibration, right? So what's the next thing you do? Imagine the same color coming in over, filling that person up with that same color, with love. Filling them up with love, putting them in a love bubble, like literally filling them up with love, and when it overflows, it like really creates a sphere around them. A sphere, boom, right? And when you're ready, just send that sphere far away, far where you can't see it. And when it's sent away past the horizon, the cords detach, and you don't feel the anger anymore. Try it out. It's very powerful. Sometimes it takes a minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, but it's so liberating. It's so freeing. It frees up your energetic capacity, which frees up your emotional capacity, which frees up your mental capacity, and gets you in a vibration to where you're like, wow, life is good. You can carry on. You don't have to drag it, because what happens when anger is left like an unhealed, unaddressed, for long periods of time. What happens? Literally, what happens? How does it affect your life, right? It does in more ways than one. So the goal is to be able to do this, so it's no longer dragging on your spirit, right? In your soul. So this is a very, very powerful one. A very, very powerful one, right? And this is, and a lot of times people ask me, how can I heal myself? It starts with simple stuff, right? It starts with simple stuff. And again, healing yourself, it's simple, and you can go deeper and deeper and deeper, but it starts off with what energy are you holding on to that's not yours? Because every single energy out there, can either be harmonious to your soul or disharmonious to your soul. right? And when you're in disharmony, when there's an energy that comes in that sits in you that isn't released, can be disharmonious to your soul, it will affect your way you're, because energy, like, this, even if it's just an energy, it has attached to it belief systems, limiting beliefs that are attached to, or disempowering beliefs attached to an energy. There's some disempowering emotions attached to an energy, right? There's habits attached to an energy. So if you're sensitive or in tune to energy, and you pick up something from somebody, it's not just energy you're picking up. It's a living, breathing, conscious thing that has a life of its own that, left unchecked, like, will create a reality upon itself, which becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So the goal is to be able to, one, be aware, be conscious of where you are at any given moment, right? And again, I could talk about this for days, and go deep into this stuff, but something that's applicable to you now is just being aware of when this happens. And if it's something that's external, like somebody that's, like, making you feel a certain way, you send them off with love bubbles. Try that out. Very, very simple. And if somebody is, and you're just overwhelmed because you're overwhelmed, whether it's your own doing or external events, and go ahead and pretty much like, do whatever's natural to you to clear, and do more of it, right? And again, like, a little bit more advanced, that down the road, that I after you do these kind of things, they're like literally, cutting cords, unblocking energy, checking in to see which ones are deeply ingrained in the DNA level, and because a lot of times there's different reasons why energy gets absorbed, and different places where it gets stuck, and different ways to clear them. But for now, for this live right that we're doing, it is like, the quickest way that I can share with you guys are those two things: natural wiring, right, and love bubbles. And when you do those two things, I mean, that will help tremendously. Okay. And then another one here that I'm gonna answer is, how do I meditate and calm my thoughts? I can't concentrate because I don't know how to meditate, no matter how much I try. Now, here's the thing that you got to realize, okay? When it comes to meditation, there's different forms. Okay, there's different forms of meditation, and you got to find which one is right for you. I remember earlier, and this has to do with your rules of how it has to look like. And I remember earlier on in my journey, back in, like, over 15 years ago, when I started, because before I was a spiritual activator, before I dove into energy work, I was in business. I was an entrepreneur doing internet marketing. That was my world. So in that life, I remember I used to beat myself up a lot, because I was like, you know what? Like, I love creating new things. I love jumping into new projects. But then I read a book that says, like, you got to be like Bill Gates. So you gotta have just one company at a time. And if you don't do that, if you don't focus on one company at a time, or one project at a time, or one idea at a time, you're not gonna succeed. You're gonna fail. So I beat myself up over and over again, thinking that I had to change who I was, right? And then I realized, like, did some more research, realized there was Richard Branson. Yes, hundreds of companies are doing really, really well. And if I look at when he started to where he is now, I mean, like, literally it averages 2 companies a month, right? And I'm like, wow, there's a different way to succeed. And then I realized, you know what? I gotta find what works for me. Because the biggest pain that I've had in my life is trying to fit myself in a box. And everybody's individual. Everybody's different. We can't fit in a box, right? The biggest pain is trying to change myself so that I can actually fit into somebody's Roblox of success, or human, or of what a human being should be. Until I realized, I just need to define me. I just need to define how I was wired, what worked for me, like, and really, once I found that, go with that, right? Because we're not created flawed. We were created perfect for our purpose in life, for what we're supposed to do, for what we're supposed to give on earth, right? And the biggest pain I've seen in humanity is thinking that we're flawed, thinking we gotta change, thinking we gotta be this, and that. When in reality, we just had to find how we were wired, what we came here, what our gifts are, what our contribution is to the world, and live it, embrace it, accept all parts of us. We have multiple parts of us. Some of them we're proud of, some of them we're shameful of, right? And the biggest liberating thing in my life is loving all parts of myself, whether or not, I like them or not, because I needed them. Maybe they were showing up in funky ways and they were doing things and acting out, but they're very much, that's me. And once I started loving and understanding and being grateful and realizing that I came here, perfect, equipped with what I needed, and maybe I was just doing it in a lower level fashion instead of a higher level one, and everything started coming together. Everything started working lightning speed, right? But that's one of the things that also happens is realizing that, we didn't come here equipped. We came here extremely equipped. So when it comes to meditation, like, if you can't lay down on the ground and close your eyes, all right, and perfectly do it and for 2, 3, 4 hours every single day, doesn't mean you're flawed. If you can't do it for 5 minutes, doesn't mean you're flawed. There's different ways to meditate. There are different ways to meditate. I know people, I have friends that I know that are able to meditate, okay? And when they meditate, like, they do it for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and guess what? Their lives are exactly where they are 4 or 5 years ago. It doesn't change a darn thing. I've seen that. Because what does meditation do? Meditation is what? People do it for different reasons. You can do it to access higher level information. You can do it to clear your mind. You can do it to release stress, right? So there's so many different ways why you meditation for, right? And again, if you take meditation out of the picture, it's a vehicle. It's a vehicle to calm your mind. It's a vehicle to distress. It's a vehicle to let things go. It's a vehicle to access higher information. It's a vehicle to be in a self-healing modality. Insert whatever it is you're trying to get to. Now remove meditation as a vehicle and look at the destination and ask yourself, what are other ways to get to this destination? Because some people, I'm betting you, when they're running, when they're working out, when they're doing yoga, when they're dancing, when they're journaling, when they're out in nature, when they're channeling, when they're using their gifts, when they're healing, when they're loving, when they're present, when they're cooking, they hit that destination. I am not the type to meditate every single day via that vehicle. But guess what? I hit it several or dozens of times a day, getting to the destination, because I have multiple vehicles to get there. So a lot of this really is releasing the rules of how it has to look like. Stop trying to fit in with what works for somebody else, right? Somebody might have different tastes in what they'd like to eat, in what's delicious for them. Doesn't mean you have to eat it because they're successful, right? It means that they found what works for them, and that's probably a reason why they're successful. So now it's time to find what works for you. Okay. And last question here that I'm seeing is, my question is, how do I change my life at 44? Everyone seems to have their own lives, and life is hard. And if you just go Google, see all the successful people. Again, I'm going to use success as an example, but look at all successful people that are that are thriving in their life right now, and the ones that were late starters. Some of them started in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and it doesn't matter, because I feel like success happens when it starts happening when you start aligning with yourself, when you find yourself, when you find your gifts, when you embrace your gifts, when you embrace who you are. You'll start getting intuition, you start getting flow, and when you start getting the pings and you start following them, when you take action, that's going to lead you to success. So a lot of it for me, success is when you start getting that, and time is irrelevant, because once you're there, it starts happening for you, not in a step-by-step fashion. It might look like that at first, but it becomes geometric growth, to where it's like, wow, where did that come from? It looks like an overnight success, but it's not. It's the preparation, and it's when you figure out how to get to the right frequency where all the things you want are there. Right, and I've had people that help in my workshops. Some of them, one gal stands out to me, because I remember she came to me, and I think she was in her late 60s, and she's like, I've been in personal development, learning energy work for over 30 years now, and what you just shared with me in this workshop, what you just shared with me, now makes sense. It now makes sense. It tells me why my life was the way it is, and everything made sense. And at first she was looking at her life thinking that, wow, what a waste. But once she put it in perspective and learned her gifts and stepped into becoming a healer, everything made sense. Just like, wow, my entire life I've been practicing this. My entire life I've been living this. My entire life I've been serving. My entire life looks different because life wasn't happening to me. Life was happening for me. I just forgot that I was a creator of my own reality. Thank you for that, and it gave tremendous peace in her life. So a lot of times things are happening for you right now and you don't even know. You don't even know why they're happening. You don't even know, you can't even see the magic because it's still unfolding as you're living your life right now. You may be 2 or 3 steps away from the gold, from where you want. You may be a step away from what you want. And sometimes we just don't see it because we're too close to it, right? And sometimes, the things that we thought we didn't have, we've had it all along. And it takes a certain shift of mindset, a certain frequency. Because when you're in the forest walking, you can see the trees, you can see the outline of the map of the forest. You can't see the terrain. All you see are the trees in front of you. You have limited perspective. But when you're on a helicopter flying high, 1,000, 2,000, 30,000, 10,000 feet above, you start seeing the forest. You start seeing where the water is. You start seeing the different parts of it. You start understanding everything, right? And it's with perspective that you start seeing. And sometimes we're too ingrained in the day-to-day monotonous stuff that we don't see. But it doesn't mean it's not happening for us. Okay, so that's about it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me here. Please, if you have a favorite part, if you have aha moments, what you loved about us, comment below. I love reading the comments, and I'll start doing this more because I've been getting so many questions that I just want to make sure that I'm hopping in here, doing my part in spreading the light and raising the vibration on Earth and the planet and everything that's going on. And so I'm grateful that you're joining me here live. And please, if you found this helpful, if you found this is something that really just honestly just shifted something within you, share it with a friend, share it with somebody who needs to hear it. Tag them, let them know, and hopefully we change more lives with this, and it just helps somebody who needs to hear this today. All right, thank you so much. I love you all. Remember, when you heal yourself, you heal others, and you also heal the world.